It has been widely circulated on the social media that in the past couple of days that the highest level of official who defected in the history of the Chinese Communist Party was the vice minister of CCP's state security. Is that true or not? If it is true, what's the implication? Welcome to We and Kathy show. Good evening. Today it will be just myself. We cannot make it. But however, at the end, I will bring you a joke. Yes, no kidding. All right. So what is this about? I'm not sure how much you're aware of this, but in the Chinese social media, this couple of days, everyone is talking about this highest level official who defected to United States, who is the in the CCP's history, and so now some media in the United States has confirmed that indeed it was the vice minister of state security of CCP who defected. His name is Dong Jingwei, last name is Dong. And but in the same time, the Chinese Communist Party's mouthpiece media just reported that Dong Jingwei was hosting a counterintelligence meeting in China. However, there are two versions of such a report. So how interesting is that? And so are these news true or not? Actually, that's what Kathy, myself would like to present you with some detailed information, and some of it is my own investigation. And so first of all, when this thing started, if you have not read about it, it's on June 4th, a conservative website called the Red State exclusively reported that they got some information within the United States intelligence community that a CCP's highest level defector in history has already been cooperating with the Defense Intelligence Agency, abbreviated as DIA, for 3 months now. And the defector revealed a lot of crucial information to the US, including the CCP's virus origin and biological weapon program. So it was also reported that the Defense Intelligence Agency's assessment determined that the information provided by the defector was reliable. So some other sources also kind of approved this type of information, including the Emmy Award journalist Housley. He tweeted about the similar information, saying that actually the CCP just intentionally just presented the bad theory in order to cover up their intentionally released the at least it's maybe it's still accidentally leaked virus, but they intentionally had it spread around the world. And another source is the U.S. Army Institute of Infectious Disease, also corroborated the news to the information to the DIA, saying that the defector's information he provided such information is very technically in detail. So exactly who is this highest level defector? Now is everybody trying to guess and confirm. So on June 16th, Han Lianchao, who is the vice chair of a citizens force based in Washington and also a human rights activist, tweeted that some friends were talking about this Dong Jingwei has defected. And according to the sources, it's rumored that Dong, who is the Deputy Minister of the National Security of CCP, defected, and actually in this February. And he brought the crucial evidence from the military and the drug industry in China, and that's why he convinced, what the information he provided convinced the people in the United States, including the Biden administration and those big corporation media, and changed their views on the lab leak theory. Remember, around mid-May and later May, we still remember that, right? President Biden and including the big media, they all suddenly just changed their view on this lab leak theory. And Biden even gave a deadline of 90 days later. He will demand the intelligence community to provide a report on the virus origin. So at that time, remember, Wei and I, when we reported this news, we were talking about it's kind of, bizarre, but just wonder if they, what changed their position. Did they got some crucial evidence or not? So, now from some source, it says it is because of the information provided by the defector. All right, so actually last night, Red State again published another exclusive article, quoting sources confirming that the highest ranking defector in the history of CCP was indeed Dong Jingwei, the Vice Minister of CCP's national security. According to the report, Dong Jingwei arrived in California in mid-February this year, and claiming that he was visiting his daughter in a university in California. But as soon as he landed, he contacted the Defense Intelligence Agency, expressing his intention to defect and would like to provide intelligence. Subsequently, after hiding in a plain place for about 2 weeks, then he entered the supervision of the Defense Intelligence Agency. And the sources said that Dong provided National Defense Intelligence Agency with important information of the origin of the CCP virus, about Wuhan Institute of Virology and the CCP's biological bioweapon program. And the source also said that during the U.S.-China talk in Alaska in March this year, remember, on the Chinese side, they talked for like 16 minutes, right? And actually, it was said that the two Chinese officials actually asked the U.S. to return Dong Jingwei to them. But at that time, Secretary of State Blinken actually did not know there's such person, such a high-level official from CCP has already defected to the U.S. So he told the Chinese counterpart that there's no such person in the United States. So the reason that the DIA did not report such information is, according to the source, is that they believe, and also Dong Jingwei, from the Chinese Intelligence Operation Department, believe that agencies like CIA and FBI have been infiltrated by the CCP force, so they feel it's insecure. So the outside world did not know the existence of such defector until the last 3 or 4 weeks. And prior to that, the Defense Intelligence Agency was reviewing all the information provided by Dong and disclosed that some of it they had learned without mentioning the source of the information. And that's probably caused the big corp media and the Biden administration to change their viewpoint on the lab leak theory. According to the Red State report, Dong not only has information about the CCP's special weapon system, the operation of CCP's military in the Wuhan Institution of Virology, and the origin of the SARS-CoV-2, the CCP virus. He also has detailed information about CCP government's assets and the resources in the United States. In addition, he also provided the DIA with the following information, such as the early pathogenic study of the virus we now know as the SARS-CoV-2 or the CCP virus, and the models of predicted COVID-19 spread and the damage to the US and the world. He also provided the financial records detailing which exact organizations and the governments funded the research on this SARS-CoV-2 and other biological warfare research. He provided the names of US citizens who provided intel to China, names of Chinese spies working in the US or attending United States universities. Also, he provided financial records showing U.S. businessmen and the public officials who have received money from the Chinese government. Details of meeting U.S. government officials had perhaps unwittingly with Chinese spies and the members of Russia's SVR. Also, how the Chinese government gained access to a CIA communication system, leading to the death of dozens of Chinese people who were working with the CIA. The report also reports that Dong also has provided the DIA with copies of the contents of the hard drive on Hunter Biden's laptop, showing the information the Chinese government has about Hunter's pornography problem and about his business dealing with the Chinese entities. Some of the files on Dong has provided shine a light on just how it is the sales of Hennige's automotive and their stealing stealth technology to Chinese military manufacturer AVIC Auto was approved. And also, according to the source, Dong told the DIA debriefers that at least a third of Chinese students attending U.S. universities are PLA, the People's Liberation Army, assets or part of the 1,000 Talents plan, and that many of these students are under pseudonyms. One reason for using, just fake names is that many of these students are the children of high-ranking military and CCP party leaders. This, I think, it's not news, at least to journalists like myself, and also like scholar like Professor Victor Hansen from Hoover Institute has repeatedly said that, CCP sent those so-called Chinese students to United States, but actually they serve as spies for the CCP. So it all happened just within the past couple of days, and then especially in the Chinese media, social media, people are all talking about this highest ranking defector. It's probably that it's Dong Jingwei. And but on Beijing time, June 18th, a number of CCP's official media, which is its mouthpiece, published a same report stating that Dong Jingwei was actually hosting a counter-espionage seminar. However, there were two versions of the report with almost the same contents, but the only difference was the description of the host who hosted the forum. So on one format, one version stating that it's some person in charge of the Ministry of National Security presided over the forum. Okay, and subsequently another version saying that it was indeed Dong Jingwei, the deputy minister of national security, presided over the forum. So soon after, the previous version actually changed to the later version. And take a note of it. The previous version, which initially did not name Dong Jingwei as the host, was reported by CCTV, all right, so-called media. And the latter version, who pointed out the host was Dong Jingwei, actually was from the Chinese Communist government's, self-media person. But it's from the Chinese Communist law enforcement agency. So you see, in China, the media listens to the government, especially the law enforcement agency. All right, so they changed the version. So I actually talked to Matthew Brazil, a senior fellow at the Jamestown Foundation and the host of the Spy Talk. He was also quoted in the Red State report. Matthew Brazil, actually, he's very familiar with the Chinese Communist Party's intelligence operation. He wrote a book, he co-authored a book called Chinese Communist Espionage, an Intelligence Primer. So I interviewed him before about his book, before I started to do video shows. So I asked Matthew how he sees, is it indeed that Dong defected, and why there's how does he view this different media reports inside China versus outside of China?
There was no information about where it was held, although you would think it was Beijing. There are no photos, and following this, there was an instant internet troll reaction telling us how mistaken we were and all that. Which indicates a little bit of coordination. Looking at this, I would say that the CCP really needs some better public relations people. The logic, I think, of the typical communications professional would have driven publicizing at least one photo of Dong, better holding up a calendar that says 18 June than not, maybe even an interview with his daughter or with him, but none of that is forthcoming. And it would be good for the Chinese side to clarify this and clarify it in ways that are more easily confirmable.
All right. So maybe, indeed, as just Matthew said, the CCP should have done a better PR job. But what if the defector is Dong and there's, so they cannot really interview him or show his interviews with him or his daughter, because it was said that the rumor said he defected with his daughter, right? So in any case, so I also asked Matthew whether he thinks how much possibility would such a high-level official as Vice Minister of the National Security defecting. Let's listen.
It's possible. It fits in with a certain narrative, of course, the Chinese side, that the COVID originated from a laboratory, and that makes it a bit suspect in my mind. But it's interesting that it all fits together like a puzzle. But another thing here is that I think adds a little bit of credibility to it is that, of course, we're within 2 weeks of the 1 July centenary of the Chinese Communist Party, founded on 1 July 1921. Mm-hmm. Even if Dong really did defect, it would make sense from the point of view of the propaganda department of the party, and indeed from the party leadership, to at least pretend that he did not defect and to put up this cover story. And this is, I think, very important to consider, because when you think about how does Chinese media work, and it's controlled in general by the propaganda department. China's an important rising power. They have a propaganda machinery that relies in part on withholding information from the population and from foreign observers, it's always been difficult to get information of some sorts out of China because so much is kept secret, even mundane information that we're used to having be unclassified. And so this, of course, is why foreign countries spy on China. China has real reason to be concerned about foreign spying because the United States, Britain, France, and other countries, they spy on China. There's no doubt about that. But the reason they do it, in part, is because so much is kept secret. The Chinese do not do the same sort of open publication of their strategic intent as the Americans do, for example. And so this sharpens the determination of foreign powers to try to find out what's going on, because China is, after all, a very important country.
Okay, so exactly how likely is it for such a high-ranking official as a vice minister of national security to defect? So I myself actually did some investigation and learned some information about this Ministry of National Security of the CCP, which I would like to share with you just now. And first of all, according to the Wikipedia, Dong Jingwei was born in 1963, he was the member representative of the National Congress of the CCP, member of more importantly, from 2006 to 2017, he served as the director of Harbin Province Department of National Security, which belongs to the state national security, which he later became the deputy minister of that department, and that was in April 2018. He's the 10th deputy minister, and there's no successor. But I will share with you, actually right now on some of the websites, you cannot find his name as the vice minister, but they don't list any successors, so it's very mystery. And another website shows because he was actually elected as a vice president of Chinese Law Society. And I checked the Chinese Law Society website, and the information, pretty much fits what the Wikipedia says about him. And moreover, on that website, it lists Dong Jingwei is currently one of the 18 vice president of this Chinese Law Society. But strangely, very interestingly, among the 18 vice president, only Dong's resume on the webpage does not have his photo. Everyone else has a photo. And from other sources, it was said that he has a photo, but now it disappeared. And if we use Baidu, the Google in China, the search engine, right? So if we use Baidu to search for Dong Jingwei, it shows a name, the same name, but actually it's a different person. He came from the same province, but who is 12 years older than this Dong Jingwei, all right, and has a different title. So isn't that abnormal? So there are also other abnormal things. If we check the website of the personnel database of the Ministry of Department of State of CCP, in the list of people for this Ministry of National Security, there's only name for the minister. All right, there's a deputy minister. The title was listing there, but there's no name, no Dong Jingwei there. All right. However, I was able to find out in the previous days, the website in some days actually by a certain day, it actually at least as July 13th of last year, his name was listed as the deputy minister of national security. You can see that. Okay, although it is in in Chinese, but you can see that. And then if we click on the link with his name as a deputy minister, we can see the report on April 27th, 2018. List with the title, Dong Jingwei is acting as the Deputy Minister of National Security. So, indeed, well, it is confirmed that he was the Deputy Minister of National Security. However, his name disappeared sometime later. What I checked is on what I was able to check on was on October 17th of 2020. His name is no longer on this website, and only living with the vice minister title. And the link reporting that he was the deputy minister also disappeared. It shows the page do not exist or has been deleted. Then from other websites, we can also find some information that's very interesting, such as how does the Ministry of National Security recruit people? And I found that they listed the successive ministers and the deputy ministers, and Dong Jingwei is listed as the 10th deputy minister. But if you click on his name, and then it says, again, the page does not exist anymore. So combining all those information, it seems that something had happened to Dong Jingwei. So when did it happen? From the information that we can see, because I found another a news report that he attended international conference on September 15th of 2020. So it is combine all those information. It is kind of reasonable to estimate that something happened to Dong between mid September to mid October last year. So something happened. And so what happened, right? So could he be the defector? So as we mentioned, by mid-May, we started to notice in the United States the position on the lab leak theory just suddenly changed, from the big tech media and the Biden administration, so on and so forth. So, if indeed it is because of this high-level CCP official provided such information, conclusive evidence from the Wuhan Institute of Virology, which relates to the origin of the CCP virus, then, such things can be reasonably explained, right? So, because Dong Jingwei is from the national security, the ministry. So I actually started to dig a little bit into more about this agency, because I didn't really pay much attention to this Ministry of National Security. So guess what I found? I think it's, you would be thinking it's interesting as well. So this Ministry of National Security refers to as the Ministry, of the, just abbreviated as National Security. So it's a component of the CCP's State Department, and it headquartered in Beijing, vertically leads the national security agencies across the country, and its main function includes intelligence collection and analysis, counter-espionage, and so-called political defense. It's China's largest, I should say it's CCP's largest and the most active foreign intelligence agency. And it also partially involved in domestic national security affairs. So it actually, really relates to the United States. And very interesting, I found that they listed a series of cover-up agencies for this Ministry of National Security, including Xinhua News Agency, for people, especially in the media, we all know the Xinhua News Agency is CCP's state mouthpiece, right? But I never knew it's actually a cover-up agency for this largest, most active intelligence operation outside of China. And also some cover-up agencies, including Chinese People's Association for Friendship with Foreign Countries. Okay, pay attention. You might see, if you care, if you pay attention to the operations of CCP or the China's operation in the United States, you may see such names of organizations, and also including like China Association for International Exchange and China Association for the Promotion of International Friendship, China Association for International Talent Exchange, China International Travel Service, China Trading Inc., and another one is Shenzhen Zhenhua Hotel. So Shenzhen is a city in the southern part of China. It's very open, but one of its hotel is actually a cover-up agency for the Ministry of National Security. So you can see from the exchange of friendship, exchange of talents, travel service, and the trade, all fronts, and the media. In all fronts, the Ministry of National Security of CCP had cover-up agencies for its operation outside of China. So, yeah, how about that? It is kind of shocking for me, actually. So I don't know, how do you think of that? Let's also talk about some high-level officials who defected from the CCP. Actually, before this time, the highest level official who rebelled against the CCP in the history should be Xu Jiatun, and he was the branch director of Xinhua News Agency in Hong Kong during 1989 June 4th period. So Xu Jiatun, he was the ministry official of the CCP, and so during the June 4th massacre in 1989, he actually visited Hong Kong students who sat in front of the Xinhua News Agency in Hong Kong to support the Beijing students' movement. So Xu asked the Central Committee of the CCP to have a dialogue with the students who petitioned for reform. But as we know, after the June 4th massacre, Xu, everybody noticed how the Prime Minister Zhao Ziyang was punished by the CCP. So Xu decided to leave for United States. So he was classified as defector by the CCP. Xu stayed in United States for over 20 years and passed away in Los Angeles in 2016 at the age of 100. So if we, saying that this time the defector indeed is the highest level in history, it should be equivalent to the deputy state level, and the dong should fit into this category. And there are other defectors actually from the Ministry of CCP's national security. The most famous one is that in 1985, there's one of the directors in the Ministry of National Security defected to the United States, leading to the arrest of a veteran Chinese spy who worked in the CIA. It's a very famous case. And in 2009, there's an agent who worked in the Ministry of National Security of CCP, applied for political asylum in Washington, D.C. And in 2012, the secretary of the deputy minister at the time for the Ministry of National Security was arrested by the authority as a spy of the CIA because he passed information on CCP's political, economic, and strategic fields to the CIA. So that's kind of a overview of history of some of the defectors from the Ministry of CCP's National Security. So overall, to summarize, it is possible that the highest level official who defected to the United States in the CCP's history could possibly be Dong Jingwei, and but because at least something happened to him between last September and October. So, but exactly is that him or someone else? It's just so hard to really find out the facts for things related to the Chinese Communist Party, because as Matthew Brazil pointed out, CCP's operation is just so secretive. But it's so important that we realize what they are doing. As I shared with you, they use those cover-up agencies under the Ministry of National Security, and all those, most of those cover-up agencies, operates in the United States. That's what I, can say for sure. So. All right, so this is most of the things we'd like to share with you. Hope you find it helpful. What do you think of it? Let us know. And now I will pay some of the debt for Wei. All right, so I will tell you some jokes. I will try. Okay, again, I may not do as good as Wei, right? So. Actually, it's also from a real life experience. Remember, I mentioned, Jimmy, right? Jimmy, the engineer from, originally from China and now established in the Silicon Valley, had a donkey. Remember, had a parrot. Okay, so actually, he got married later, and his wife also came to the United States even later than him. So she's pretty new to the state, and a lot of things are new to her. So one day, Jimmy just took her out for dinner, right? For lunch, And Jimmy said, "Okay, let's go to ramen place." You remember the Japanese ramen, right? So actually, his wife, tasted the ramen and said, "Wow, it's very tasteful. You like it." So she liked it. And later, as time goes by, his wife just noticing there are so many ramen places, right, around different cities. And then she was so, excited and telling Jimmy that, "Wow, this ramen brand, they are so successful." And that put Jimmy was like at shock. It was like later on his wife just realized, oh, it's the ramen actually is not a brand. It refers to the noodle place, right? So, okay, I don't know if you find it's funny, but as an immigrant, who came from a different culture and different language, so we oftentimes encounter such embarrassment moments. But actually, it's a process of learning and growing. And another one. Okay, let me tell you another one. So, Jimmy actually, recently went to Texas for a business trip, and so he met another business counterpart who actually came to the business trip from Vietnam. Okay, from Vietnam. All right. So one day, after they spent some time together, and Jimmy just starting to tell this Vietnamese friend, saying that his name is Vinh. Okay, Say, hey, Ving, I know you carry some cell phone jacket, okay? So actually, Ving had a huge, big cell phone jacket. And in the Asian country, it shows some, status, right? Has a, nice cell phone and has a jacket to protect the cell phone. But Jimmy said, we're now in Texas. It's okay. You carry this, and because it looks like a pistol jacket, okay, a gun. But then he said, when you go to California, because they are indeed coming to California pretty soon, he said, when you come to California, I advise you not to carry this, because in California, people don't like you to carry guns. All right. So that's the difference between California and Texas. So hope this brings some light feeling to you. And all right, so today I went a little bit long. And so that's it for today. Hope you have a wonderful weekend. Happy Father's Day. Hope you enjoy your Father's Day weekend. Take care, and I will see you on Monday. Bye-bye.